Hey, this is Luke, and we're back with another episode of building a self-hosted analytics service from scratch. Um, Today we're going to keep working on stuff. I made a list here of some things that I had been thinking about since the stream yesterday, just so that I don't forget. And we're going to get started on one of them. Which one? Not sure. I kind of want to start on the synthetic data generator. I feel like that's something that I would like to have, so let's do it. The idea behind the synthetic data generator, let's just go ahead and start the app here while I'm talking. The idea behind the synthetic data generator is that we want to be able to see what the dashboard will look like when there's some semi-realistic data in there. And it's not easy to produce semi-realistic data manually by browsing to the demo app and clicking something a bunch of times. For one thing, it's all going to be the same browser, the same OS, etc. Same visitor, can't really have more than one visitor because it's keyed off your IP address, and I'm just me. So we're going to make a script, and it's going to generate fake data. It's going to put it right into the database, and then we're going to be able to see what the dashboard looks like with some more interesting, more realistic sets of data in there. Let's get started on that. So one of the questions whenever I'm making one of these scripts is where do I want to put it? Sometimes I like to put my testing script right into the app as like a debug function in the dashboard itself. But for this one, for starters, I'm just going to put it in the scripts directory here. We're going to make a new script here. We're going to call it data.ts. Sure, why not? And then we need to kind of decide how we want this to work. And we also need to remember how the database works because I didn't really deal with that at all yesterday and it's been a while. So let's take a look here. I think, so we've got this like weird SQL utilities thing. Oh, okay, so it's under events. Okay, so I remember now, I think. So I've got this like functional area component style grouping structure for the folders here. So like the model and stuff for events table is under the events folder, and the ones for the sites table is under the sites folder, and so on. So not really an MVC structure, more of like a Angular component style guide structure, if you remember that from back in the day. All right. So we probably want to be able to reuse these functions is what I would kind of expect. Like in our data script here, we could do like import create event, and we can just reuse that application code in our script, which is one of the nice things about using the same language for our script versus our actual application. Sorry, I just had to adjust my mic a little bit. Okay. The other thing we need to consider is sites, because all of the events have to be associated with a site, and I don't really want to have to like recreate the site each time, sort of a thing. So we will not do that. Let's see, I do not have Busy Data installed. It's a shame. Okay, that's fine though. Let's open Table Plus. Table Plus, you can open files, I think. Just trying to get this to work, one sec. And then analytics. Okay, here we go. So here we can see our database, see what's in it. And we're basically going to create a bunch of synthetic events, and we're going to reuse this ID from sites. Now that I think about it, we can probably just import get all sites and just pick the first one, should be fine. So let's do that. Const site equals wait get all sites. True. So yeah, kind of an interesting note here. I'm using a top level await. I can do this because we're using bun, which supports top level await in Node. I don't know if this would actually work. Kind of another random note, my VS Code updated itself sometime between last night and tonight, and it changed my color scheme. Throwing me a little bit, but that's fine. Okay. So we got our site, and we're going to create some fake events for that site. So let's do like const num events 1000. We're going to have some variables here that we can use to kind of adjust the script's behavior without having to dig into the code, sort of configuration variables, if you will, even though they're not going to be actually exposed as environment variables or command line args or something like that, but we shall see. All right, and then, so the simplest way to do it, let's also look at our somewhere. We have model, yeah, these things. I want these things because we're going to create them with synthetic browser types, device types, operating systems, etc. Right? Okay. So let's just do a for loop, I guess. For let I equal 0, I less than num events, I plus plus. For each of these loops, we're going to create a new event. So await, create event. And we're going to need to put in some data here. And what data goes in here? Let's see. Let's, what are we looking at here? We're looking at this. I'm actually just going to copy this over here and comment that out, but I'm going to use that as a reference point while I'm writing this. So site ID is going to be site.id, obviously. And can I do this? And then this? Yeah, I think that works. Okay. Asserting the site exists. Now, if there is no site, this is going to break, but that's fine because it's just a testing script. If that happens, we can fix it. I think, let's go back to create event here real fast. Do we need to insert a new ID when we call it? Yes, we do. Okay. So we'll just do ID, random UUID. Where's my random UUID? I don't really want a v5. I just want a v4. Huh. Isn't that in... here? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Oh, and this doesn't even need to be awaited, right? That's an interesting thing. Does this need to be awaited? No. Kind of forgot about that. With the bun SQLite library, it actually doesn't, the functions aren't async. It's all sync, which I guess it can do because it's just running them in, like there's no networking, you know? It has to do like file system reads, but it just uses sync APIs for that, I guess. Okay. Then we also need user ID. And so for this, we will let's see, num users, say 100 users, and I guess we can let's just select a user randomly here. User ID is what are the user IDs anyway? Just any string. So I mean, I could just do like num users times math.random. That doesn't really work, does it? I think that only works if num users is a multiple of 10, which it is. So I guess it technically works. Dot to string, and well, let's do dot to fixed. To fixed. Or no. Yeah, we could do to fixed 0, right? To fixed 0. I think something like that works. URL. So the URL, we're just going to start simple here, I guess. Let's just do a slash. Start time. Again, let's just fill this out simply, and then we can randomize it more as we go here. End time. Also, let's do date.now. And then this can be like minus math.random times 1000. And then this all would be rounded or whatever. Math.trunc. So sometime, let's do 10,000. Up to 10 seconds in the past is when it started, and then it ends now. Kind of the idea. Again, here we probably are going to want some of these to be null. So, I mean, simple way to do it here, I less than 750 question mark. Date.now. Otherwise, null. Okay. Host name. The host name, how does this work? Host name. I guess theoretically you could have different host names. Kind of don't really care. Let's just put something in there for now. Device type. Again, let's just put something in there for now. And we're going to do this more random later, but I just want to make sure this is all actually creating the things as we expect and so on. Operating system, Android, user agent, /123, not Mozilla 2.0, whatever. Refer, I less than 250. Google.com, otherwise no. And is no script. Is no script. False. Or let's do I less than 50. False. Well, we don't even need that. Just do I less than 50. Except it should really be more like I greater than 50. Okay. Okay, that's looking good. The heck? Okay. Pretty simple. Now, before we do this, we're actually going to delete all our events. So this is going to be delete. Do I not have a function for that? Let's add a function for that. Events, model. Yeah, there isn't one. Okay, so let's do export function clear events. Doesn't return anything. And this is going to do db.query or db.run, I guess. Delete from table name. Something like that. Right? I think that's right. Yeah. It's so rare that I write a delete query that it's like I forget how it looks. Okay, so first we're going to clear events, and then we're going to do the thing. And let's try running it. So I'm going to add a note to the README here as well about how to run it. Generate test data, fun, run, scripts, data.ts. Don't really want to add a script for this to the package.json, although we could. And yeah, fine. I kind of want to put it in the same weave command, but it doesn't really matter. Nice thing about running it with weave is you can restart it easily. Did the thing. So now if we look at our data, we have a bunch of visitors, bunch of visits, fine. It's not really what we're hoping for in terms of having plenty of random variation though, is it? So that's something we need to fix. I will say that already there's some clear issues though, where it's like that number's getting cut off because it's more than one digit, apparently. Then it's not happy about that. Stuff like that. It's exactly the kind of thing we're hoping to catch. Okay. So I'm just going to add a log here. Console.log generating events. So we can just see that something's happening. Okay. So let's make this a bit more random. That's going to be the next step. So function random host name. And I'll give it the I. I feel like I might want to know that. And this is going to return a host name. Is that not what it's called? Device host name. Oh, host name doesn't have a thingy, right? It'll just return a string. So kind of the pattern that I'm thinking here, I don't know if this makes sense, but if we do something truly random, that isn't very interesting because over the course of randoming our choices over 1,000 slots, 1,000 events, it's just kind of going to average out. What we want is variance. And, we could do something where it's like select from a normal distribution or a power law distribution or something, but I don't know how to do anything fancy like that. So we're just going to do more of like a weighted random type of a thing, or even just a deterministic choice, actually, maybe to start with here. So what would that look like? I don't know. Let's actually skip the host name first and do the other three: device type, browser, and operating system. I feel like those are going to be a little simpler because they have a limited specific set of values that they could take on, right? So, a simple way to do it is it's like if I less than 100, and I'm realizing now that we're baking in a lot of assumptions about our number of events, so it's not going to be easy to change afterwards, which is a bit annoying. So maybe another way to do that is instead of baking in this I, it's just going to be like math.random, and we could say if seed greater than 0.9, then our device type is going to be other. And let's do it like this, just and if it's greater than 0.5, we're going to return mobile. Otherwise, we're going to return desktop. So this way we get a weighted random distribution where other is returned 1/10 of the time, mobile is returned 40% of the time, and desktop is returned 50% of the time. Which, is that accurate? Probably not. I don't know. They say these days mobile is even more common than desktop, and I don't even know what other would mean. But it doesn't really matter. Again, the point isn't to have realistic data, it's just to have data that kind of flexes our charts. We really want to flex our charts and see what they look like in different circumstances. So I've got to rerun this thing here. And now our device type, we can kind of see that flexing happening. And it's fine. I almost want this to actually be like 0.95. And this to be 0.75. Just to give it even more variance, doesn't really matter. Yeah, gotta restart the thing. Yeah. So this is another example of a problem with our chart. So there's a lot of little things we're gonna need to fix here. Really not looking forward to that because I feel like this recharts library, or I don't know if it's that or if it's the ShadCN charting thing built on top of it, but it can be really confusing when you're trying to like adjust its behavior. It's like it works okay out of the box, and then for the cases where it doesn't work okay, it's like, well, good luck. But whatever. Might not be as bad as I'm fearing. In any case, here's what we've got. Why is that 731? Though. Okay, now it's not. Huh. Not sure what's up with that. Should be exactly 1,000, of course, in the total. Well, anyway. Maybe I was looking at it before it was actually done fully loading all of the data or something like that. Okie doke. Let's also do random browser. And we're going to do the same kind of thing here. This is going to return browser type. And we're going to say, what are our browser types here? Other, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. So again, other, let's do 0.95. Well, let's do 0.9 for that. Greater than 0.8, Edge, greater than 0.6, Firefox, greater than 0.3, Chrome. What else is there? Other, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. That's 5, right? Yeah. Let's actually do this greater than 0.2 Chrome, and then we're going to return Safari for the end. So there's a majority of Chrome. Again, doesn't have to be accurate, but doesn't hurt. Okay, let's refresh this. Oh, I forgot to actually do the thing. Wrote the function, but I forgot to call it. And really, we don't need to keep checking. Let's just move on to the next one here. Random operating system. Just call it OS. Don't forget to call it. And then in here, we're going to do something like other Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, OS X, Windows Phone. Wow, there's a lot. Okay. So other 0.95, let's do 0.8 Windows, 0.7 Linux, 0.5 OS X, 0.4 iOS. I don't like iOS, so I'm giving it a small number here. 0.15 Android, other Windows, Linux. What am I missing? Windows Phone. Okay, let's do 0.05 Android, and then we'll return Windows Phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Okay, like that. Reload our stuff. Let's just see what this looks like now. Looks all right. Host name. I feel like normally the host name is going to be basically the same always to begin with, unless your site is hosted on multiple host names, but it's probably not that common. Oh, sorry, one sec. Okay. Refer, fine. I mean, honestly, fine. Like, these don't necessarily all need to be totally magical, fantastical, random. The URL, I feel like the URL might be a good case to have something that's like a little bit longer. Like, I want there to be a lot of choices because I feel like that's something that we're going to need to consider as well. You know, say your site has 100 URLs. What is that going to look like, right? I don't really want to write out 100 things here though. But what I can do is like return slash math dot trunk seed times 100. Right? I think that's going to do a thing. It's going to wreck my page. Let's see. Oh, once again, I forgot to call it. And now I forgot to reload the data. My goodness. My goodness. So how does it look like on the visitor side? Fine. All right, so this is actually not too bad already, I feel like. Let's get rid of this. And I guess we don't need those. We just really use the types. Okay. Let's stage that and this. And we will call this create test data script. I will add this as well. I guess really the way to do this, let me just do it this way. I think if I do bun run watch, it's going to automatically rerun it when I edit the file just a little bit. One less thing to have to remember if I do change that script more. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is the days and stuff. So on this table, you know, it's got, if I recall, it's got like 10 dots, 10 chunks on the, what is this, the x-axis here? And then your look back window is kind of split into those. So if I do like 30, it's still got 10 chunks, but each one is now spanning 3 days at a time. Whereas for 7, it's got 10 chunks and each one is spanning 7/10 of a day, I guess. So the reason I'm thinking about that, I kind of want this data script to load, let's say 30 days of data. So what would that look like? Look back equals 30 times 24 times 60 times 60 times 1000, right? So 30 days, 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, and 1,000 milliseconds in a second. This is 30 days worth of milliseconds. And so then we're going to pick a random number within that range for our start time. And let's do that up here. Const start time equals math.random times lookback. Yeah, that one. And then we're going to truncate that. That's going to go here. And then the end time, I'm going to take the start time and I'm going to add some time to it. End time equals math.trunc, math.random times 10,000. Let's do whatever. Let's do 100,000 plus start time. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay, it didn't like that. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, yeah. Okay, so this needs to be, this is the time backwards from date.now. Right? That's what we're looking at? Yeah, okay. So now we've got kind of some random data here. You can sort of see that. If we go to 7 days, we've got a little bit spikier. If we go 1 day, it should be even more spiky. Good to see. And, we can switch to visits. Interestingly, that This one doesn't change. Did that not change? Maybe it's just the way it is. Yeah, it's changing. It's just not changing much, I guess, because of how the randomness is done. Okay. In any case, this is our thing. So a couple things to fix here. A lot of things to fix here, really. First of all, let's amend our commit though. Stick that onto the last commit. Okay. So let's start with this one, the page. So we've got this long tail of data, and this needs to scroll, right? We need to overflow inside this page box and scroll it at a reasonable point. It shouldn't push everything else in the page down, is what I'm trying to say. So how do we do that? Let's look at our page table here. So we've got our horizontal bar chart. I don't know if we can put the scrolling right in the bar chart. Probably that would be the best way. Alternatively, we could do like, let's try this first. Max height. 20. How big is that? 80 pixels, that's not much. 48. Height. 48. I think we can do that, right? Doesn't really matter. And then what happens? It just like slides off the bottom. So then what if we do overflow Y auto? So now we have a scroll bar. But the problem is the scroll bar is not where we want it to be, obviously. It's not inside the card, first of all. And it's also not like the title probably shouldn't scroll. Maybe it should, I don't know. Let me actually just copy that though. Okay, so let's go back into the horizontal bar chart here. So we really want it in this card content. What is fixed height card container? Oh yeah, so there was this weird, yeah, that was a thing. So I think actually we want this in card content. Class name this stuff. Right? Yeah. So that now we'll scroll those. That looks good. And we really could do with that being I don't know, that's not a bad height. The problem is it's scrolling the browser in the OS though, which is like a little bit maybe too short. I don't know if we need those to really scroll. There's only going to be a limited number of browser and OS to begin with, so scrolling those feels a little annoying. Let's do that. Is that still scrolling the OS? 75? Okay. Yeah, something like that seems fine. All right, so that's one chart UX improvement hit. What else? So I don't like this. This is another thing that I don't like. So the none is sorted below the value, which makes sense if we remember what we did last time, but doesn't feel right visually. You know, you're looking at it, you're like, you want to be able to see them in descending order. So let's fix that too. If we go back to hooks, the problem there is this, right? We've got this getting pushed into the chart data after the toSorted call, which we could maybe not do. I'm kind of thinking here. It's a little annoying. Unsorted chart data equals that. And then this would be up here. Unsorted chart data dot push. And then we would do const chart data equals unsorted chart data dot toSorted. And really, I guess you could do chart data and then do like chart data dot sort, right? Because that sorts it in place. And then we don't need two variables. Let's switch this back over here so I can look at this doing the thing. Got kind of messed up. This isn't super happy with the terminal getting resized. So when I resized it earlier, it's like kind of busted it a little bit. Okay, now it's sorted properly. Total is still at the top. I mean, really, total is always going to be at the top no matter what, in theory. Unless you have the same number here, in which case, who knows what it's going to do. So it's good that we have it fixed to the top. And now none is sorted alongside the other ones like we would expect. That's good. Okay. What else? Well, there's the cutting off of the large numbers like that. I wonder, this is probably going to be something where we have two choices, I guess. One is we could try to move the number into the bar instead of having it be outside the bar. Like this is shown after the bar. It could be shown inside the bar. That feels painful to me. It would hurt my soul to have to figure out how to do that in the recharts library. What if we did, maybe it's actually super simple. Let's just try this. Okay, that did work, but now we've got this like overlapping thing with the smaller things, which you would kind of expect. It's also not the best color, but that's what you would expect. Do we like that more? I mean, the alternative is we kind of need to add more padding to the right of the bar or margin or whatever it would be so that there's room for more than one digit of number. But then you kind of have this question where you're like, well, how many digits, you know? And that's kind of another thing too, where really we could be shorthanding the digits here. Instead of 1000, it could be like 1K, you know? And then if you want to see the exact number, you could hover over this and see it in the tooltip. I kind of like this though. I do kind of like this. Now I'm kind of wondering, what if we didn't do that though? And what if we actually put the average time in there? Can we do that? Data key, average view time. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of cool. Except I feel like it should be flipped around. right? So the outer one here is going to be the average view time. And that's kind of cool. But then again, we kind of need a little bit of extra spacing here. So what is this offset? What if I set that to 4, first of all? Oh, that was weird. Okay. Yeah. It didn't need to be quite that far away. So setting it to 4 kind of makes sense to me. I think that's what it does, right? If I set that to 8, yeah, there's like more space. And then like what's going on here? Let's take a look at this. Because you would expect that to be able to fit more characters in there, but it's not. Why not? Why not? There's padding. There's padding. Where is that padding even coming from? It's coming from card content. PX6, presumably. So just out of curiosity, if I get rid of that, the problem is, yeah, these bars just kind of expand to take up that extra space, you see. So that's not necessarily going to help. Huh. What does this margin do to you? What if I get rid of that, just out of curiosity? Okay, so now, yeah, it's even. Okay, so let's set this to 32. 32. So now it's kind of working. It's working better anyway. I might even do, because the thing is, we're always going to have these seconds over here, and it's going to be, you know, some numbers. So I might actually do, what if I did 48? Is that going to be really weird? No, I think that's actually fine. Okay. Cool. That's good. We're making some progress here. I like this too because you can visually compare these without having to hover over them and look at the tooltip. Like the average view time, I mean. So now the problem is this, right? And, you know, really this is going to be a problem no matter what. When we've got these small bars, what do you do? Right? The text on the left is too long. The text on the right might also be too long. They might overlap, or they might not even have either of them fit at all, like in some of these cases. I feel like the overlapping looks really bad. But there's the broader problem of even if they don't overlap, they might not fit. What does this label list come from? Okay, so this does come from recharts. This isn't like a custom ShadCN thing. This one is though, right? No, it's not. Okay, well, I mean, the fixed height chart container is though, right? And then there's this chart style business. Okay, let's just take a look at this label list. Recharts, label list, Cloudflare, hit me with it. I expected it this time. Mountains, mountains, mountains. I don't know why it's doing that, but that's on my Google search too. It's like searching Google. I didn't know Google used Cloudflare. Doesn't make sense. I don't know. Whatever. I don't use this browser except for when I'm streaming. So I kind of wonder if it's like thinks I'm a bot because the browser has like no cookies or history or anything. Because I never get that on my main browser. Anyway, whatever. Label list. So what I want to know is, can we somehow show this sometimes, hide it other times, or like conditionally do something? No. No. No, you can't. You just can't. So how would we, what would we do then? Hmm. Hmm. I mean, you can do a custom content, but so the problem with the custom content or a custom formatter is like theoretically you could override it to be like, don't render anything sometimes, but how do you know when you shouldn't render anything? It's only when it doesn't fit. But in order to understand when it doesn't fit, you need to understand the whole chart. You know what I mean? Because the size of the row is dependent on the size of all the other rows. Like this one, it's like too short. But you can't say, oh, it's too short because the count is 250. Because if these other two were zero, then this one would take up the full width. So it's like not possible, I feel like. Unless I'm missing something, which is very likely. I mean, the one thing we could do at the very least is maybe get these things a background so they don't just overlap each other, because that's really unpleasant. Um, like over here, we could do BG color bar. What is it called? What is the color called? This one, I guess. No, this one. I think that's right. Is that right? Let's take a look. What's it trying to do now? Did it do the thing? So we've got the text here. Whoa, that's weird. Gosh. Once again, I feel like these components are, these HTML elements are just structured in a way very different from what I would expect. Like, why is this text not inside the bar for the other text? I don't know. In any case, I set the BG style. So that did work. It's just not actually overriding. It's not actually... Is it a z-index thing? What if I said z-index on this thing? Z-index. It's not even a thing. Maybe that was added in a newer version of recharts, I don't know. What if I did that here? Z10. Sure. Did not work. How should we solve this conundrum? I'm kind of curious. Let's just try. What if I do the BG up here too? Is that going to work or is that going to not work? It did not work. Okay, so clearly that's not really what we want. What else could we do? I mean, so we could combine them both into the same label list, right? And render both of them together where it's like total dash 1000 instead of having the 1000 on this side. But I like it like this. I don't want to change it. So let's not do that. The other thing we could do is undo the seconds that we added over here, like the average view time, and put this number back over there again. And then you'd have to hover back over this to get the average view time again. We could do that. Maybe we should do that. I don't know. But for now, let's not. Let's just leave it as it is. And I don't know if this is going to be how common it'll be. I feel like it'll be fairly common, but I'm not sure. Obviously, with our test data, we've artificially created it, but it's probably going to show up frequently. Yeah, the more I'm kind of talking myself out of it. Okay. We'll not do this then. We will do it like this. And this, let's comment that out. So now the numbers are on the outside like that, and it just works better. And because we added that extra padding for the other thing, it works well for the numbers too. And in fact, we might even maybe don't need quite as much padding anymore. Like that is probably fine. Okay. So we will call this let's do these separately actually. We will call this improve chart rendering. Why get complicated? And this will be sort none alongside other rows. Okay, cool. So that's some progress made. I guess I'm going to check off the synthetic data generator one. Cool. Okay. What is this? Oh. Okay. I'm not really used to some of these chat things, like a auto moderator message. I'm like, what is that? But just a spam comment. All right, so I kind of want to do this add key thing maybe. And then we'll probably call it after that. So what is this going to look like? So let me explain my thinking here when I wrote this down. We have our dashboard, and we have these public URLs, which means anybody can hit them, right? They're public and they're not authenticated because they're going to be launched from some other site. And there's not really a whole lot of point authenticating them because somebody can just copy the JavaScript script tag from a site and make requests with that. On the other hand, though, we kind of want to put in something where it's like just a best effort attempt to prevent, low effort bots or whatever from spamming our site with bullshit. So that includes for this record and finish routes. And also theoretically, even for these routes, like we don't need to return these if the user doesn't have a little bit of a key. And by not returning tracker.js, if the user doesn't have a key, we also make it harder for them to find out about these other routes in case somebody is actually like looking. Again, this isn't like security. It's just obscurity, right? But that's better than nothing. And the key, we'll have to think about how to do that. It's just going to be something random, and it's going to be something you can configure per deployment, or it's random per deployment or something like that. So let's just start with an assumption that in this config.ts, there's going to be a key. I wanted to call it public key, but then I'm like, no, that sounds like it's public-private key cryptography, but it's not related to that at all. It's like a tracker key. And we could just do process.end.tracker key or something. Can I do I have OpenSSL? I do. Okay, get me out of here. Let's see. Rand X N16. Rand 16? Or no, B16? Gosh. Oh, don't do anything, just the number. Just the number. It's kind of a lot. Let's do base 6416. Fine. We'll just copy that. This is just going to be the default random key. I'm going to get rid of those spacers. Doesn't matter. We're not actually using this as base 64. It's just, I'm just generating some entropy here. In case somebody doesn't set this tracker key, they're not left with like a completely crap password. And really, let's do it like that. I don't want it to be that long. Okay. So then kind of the idea, let's actually take this and put it in our demo app to show how it's going to work. So this would be like, I mean, it could be in there like that, or it could be like this. Do we have a preference? I feel like this is probably better. I don't know. It could be in a path segment, but then just why? I don't know. Okay. Guess it just really doesn't matter either way. So over here then, you know, in these things, let's actually put it in the tracker script as well. Let's figure this one out. So you know, this would need to be like and or question mark k equals blah, blah, blah. So the problem with this is how do we know what that is? Right? Because this is getting served by the server, but it's getting served as a file. So even though this is a file, we can't be like importing stuff in here because it's not actually being transpiled. It's not being like compiled or whatever you call it by bun. It's just being served as a raw file. So we actually kind of need to take this file and like put a like a substitution string in here. And I'm actually just going to leave this. Let's do default tracker key equals that. And that is that or that. And then here, this default tracker key is going to be used here, and it's also going to be used here. And then we're actually basically going to do a find and replace on that in the server when we serve up this tracker script, so that if the user has changed it, the tracker will automatically get the correct version of it. Okay. The problem with that is we've got this bun file being served directly into the response, which is very fancy. It's just like passing the file descriptor directly from one place to another without ever loading it as a string in JavaScript, which is neat, but that's not going to work for us anymore. We're going to need to do something like this, where we take this and we do .text const script equals bun.file.text. So now we have this script, and we do like, I mean, we could just put it, is this awaitable? Yeah, awaitable. And then this needs to be async. Okay, so then this is going to be not just script, it's going to be script.replace default tracker key with tracker key. Makes sense? And that should be fine. So while I'm thinking of it, the other thing we're going to need to do though is make sure that the actual tracker key here is not got a bunch of weird characters in it, because we're doing a pretty naive string replace here. So we're going to want to do if not tracker key dot match or dot test. Is that a thing? No, I can never remember the regex stuff. We're going to do start at the beginning and then go to the end. And it's going to need to have 0 to 9. Just characters, standard characters in here. And, you know, we could allow some other characters as well. Actually, but why though? Let's not. Let's for now just do it like this. Throw a new error. Valid tracker key must be alphanumeric. Okay, let's test this out. So how do we do that? Bun run dev. So in theory, if I do bun run dev, it should work fine. It didn't. So obviously there's some issue with my regex. Oh, well, first of all, I need a plus. Let's try again. Yeah, okay. So that time it worked, giving me a different error, which we kind of expect. If I do tracker key equals 1 + 1, bun run dev, this should fail. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's good. Now, let's just make sure the other stuff's working too, and then we can actually add the authentication, because right now we're just passing this in, but we're not actually checking this value. But let's make sure that the other stuff is not broken. Okay, so port 8000 for our demo app. Local host 8000. So if we inspect this, network, refresh. So we can see we're getting our thing with the key. And then it's calling record with the key as well. So that's good. And in here we have, you know, the key as expected. Okay. So if I quit this and then do export tracker key foobar and then run it again, now we should actually see that being updated in the actual script. Or it's just not going to work. That could be a thing too. What are we complaining about here? What the heck? Really going to hit me with a internal assertion failure? Okay, so now we got our key foobar. So if we actually look at this, you know, we replaced that value in here with foobar. Oh, but we didn't do it down there because we didn't use a regex, right? Weird JavaScript string.replace behavior. Could we do replace all, I guess? You can also do, for the replacement value, you can do a regex with a /g to do global, and then it'll replace everything. But that's kind of annoying here because we have the variable in a string, so you would have to use the regex constructor to build that string, and then what a pain, right? So hopefully replace all does what I think it does here. Let's see. Tracker script. Yeah, so now we've got our replacements. And kind of the reason I feel comfortable doing it this way is because that default tracker key is a random value. So this is not going to be present anywhere else in the script except when used as these keys. You know, it's not going to conflict with the variable name or something like that. It's like, it's hygienic, right? Like a hygienic macro name. just got some junk in there, so that it's unique. Okay. Okay, let me commit these just so I remember what's going on. So this example here, then, now that we've switched this to foobar, this is actually going to stop working, assuming we do things right. And the way that these are going to be like, I don't know. I'm thinking about when we actually deploy this, we're probably going to want to have some like setup instructions for the user where it's like, put these values in here, script tag, no script tag, whatever, and make sure to put your tracker key into this key slot. There might be a better way to do that. I don't know. It would be cool if we could kind of generate these dynamically, automatically on deployment and store it in the database. But that could be a future iteration. For now, just having the user be able to configure it with an environment variable it serves the purpose, even if it's not maybe the most ergonomic of all possible worlds. Let's stage these. Okay, so then in the server here, now we need to be checking that. And, I'll just define a little helper function for that. Do I really even need a helper function? It's just like one line, right? Let's just see. So if not, I kind of need this tracker.js, I guess. If not, request dot params. Is it params? How does this work? Oh, it's like this. I mean, that's kind of a reason to put it in the params to avoid this junk, but params, by which I mean, by the way, like a URL path segment. Like this, it's called like a param, like that. But it's actually a URL path segment. And we've already said it's alphanumeric. So there's really no escaping or anything like that issues. And I don't know why we need to type that. Let's not. So what if we did that? Colon key. If not rec.params.key equals, okay, let's not do it that way. If rec.params.key, yeah, this seems fine, is not equal to tracker key, then we will return response dot error. All right, what does this do? Associated with a network error. What does that even mean? I don't know. Let's see what it does. Then we need to update our other stuff to use the new thing. So instead of question mark key, it's going to be like that. And then in the script as well, we'll do the same thing. So it's going to be like that and that. Very good. Very good, right? That's very good. Yeah, okay. So then if we refresh this, what did it even do? What does HM mean? I don't even know what that means. HM. Does that what I mean? Because that's what I'm feeling when I read it. I don't know. What did I set my thing to, by the way? Foobar? What if I do that? Is it still going to hit me with the HM? No, now it got the 200. And this one's now hitting me with the 405. Method not allowed. What the heck? Oh, because I haven't done that yet. Okay. I don't know what the HM, I'm just going to Google it, I guess. Chrome, DevTools, HM response. Show results with HM, yes. That's the whole freaking point. See? I told you that's what it stands for. I don't know. The point is it didn't return it. That's what matters. Like here we have this. If we go back up here and we switch this back to that and refresh, then we don't have it. It didn't return anything. Just a HM. I don't know. Anyway, let's get a move on here. Gotta go soon enough. All right, so that's basically everything except the server side auth that we actually need to add here now. The actual checking of the stuff. Boop, 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 like that. And then this is complaining now because of this type, which I don't know why I have that like that. I think I can just do like that. It's fine. It should infer the type of the request just fine. And this, I'm actually going to just put it all on one line. They say you're not supposed to do that, but we're doing it anyway. If you're wondering, the reason you're not supposed to do that is because if you mistakenly do that, for example, it still works. But then if you forget and do like something here, it doesn't work anymore because now it's actually going to return response.error every time. So it's like, it's just a weird thing, but it's nice to be able to write these if conditionals on one line. I like it anyway. Okay. So I kind of want to, can I do like response dot? I don't know. I kind of want to just like return a 404. Not this weird error. Let's see. Bun server. How do I return a response that is an error code? Error handling. No, not that. What the heck? Don't tell me I have to do this. It's kind of a pain. Is that how you do it? Is that how you return a 404? Like that? Oh, stat. Okay, like that. It's like that. This is what we want. We will be doing this instead, like that. Oops. Okay, see, so that's kind of what I was, like now when we format this with prettier, it's putting that on another line, and you can easily mess yourself up with that when you're editing the code later, but we're doing it anyway. So let's see what we've got going on here. So this one is adding this path segment to the tracker scripts. That's good. This is just our test app. In the config, we're adding the tracker key, and the user can override it. And this asserts that it has to be valid, and also that it has to have more than one character in it as a side note, which is good. This, not that it could ever get that way, because if they set it to an empty string, it would default to this anyway. But anyway, this guy, we are checking rec.params.key, not equal to tracker key, return not found, and then it's got the script business that we did where it's replacing the value. Down here, rec.params key, not equal to tracker key, return not found. Key, return not found, return not found. And it's got the colon key, colon key. Nice thing about bun, these are statically typed. So if I forgot to put this colon key in here, we would actually get a TypeScript error when checking rec.params.key. So that's kind of extra little assurance. So now let's just make sure that it seems to be working. So if I refresh this, we get a 404 on the tracker. That's great. If I disable JavaScript, which is like possible somehow, run command Java disable JavaScript, and then I refresh, we get the no script.gif, which also returns a 404, which is great. And that shouldn't be creating any data because we're doing this before we actually do anything else, right? It's not actually creating an event. And then let's re-enable JavaScript. However we do that. What did I just do? ... Run command. JavaScript. Yeah. Enable. Okay. Then we can also check. Let's actually set these to foobar now. Foobar. And refresh. So now the record pending. Does it just, I think it just says pending forever. No, I got a 405. Method not allowed. Is that normal? Is that how it always was? Finish also returns a 405, method not allowed. I don't know why it would be doing that. I mean, we know it's not hitting this code path, right? Because it's not a 404, it's a 405. It shouldn't be hitting that code path anyway because the tracker key is correct. What if I, just out of curiosity, what if I did that? Are we going to get the same behavior here? I'm just not sure if it was always like this. So we got a 4 or 5 again. Oh, but it, yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it was always like that. Well, there's an easy enough way to tell, right? We can delete the data in our thing. Let's get rid of all this sample data. Go down here. And do this, and it's just going to delete all of the data. So now, if we look over here, there should be nothing. And then the question is, if we do this, are we going to generate some new data? Pending. Looks like we did not. So something's definitely broken. Just to check here, if I do this and that, and this, does that work? So here it should be just hitting /record. We're again getting a 4 of 5, method not allowed. I feel like, okay. I feel like there might be something weird where it's not actually reloading this whole server. Let's just, oops. Let's just restart all of these things and then try again. Okay, now it worked. Yeah, so I think the bun, I think it just wasn't like hot reloading something. All right, so, oh no, we've still got a 405 again. And type ping is interesting, but you know, that's because we're using the notification send beacon thing, I think. What is this complaining about? Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of cool. It shows me that right in here. I mean, I think this works with the URL. I mean, the URL it's constructing is fine. That's a fine URL, right? What's the problem? I don't see a problem. Okay. Let's do this then. So this, you know, foobar thing we were just doing for testing purposes, let's discard that. We just wanted to make sure that it was replacing the right values in the thing in the tracker script if we overrode the tracker key. So let's unset the tracker key. Let's actually commit this. And we will call it, actually, let's add a little note here as well. If updating default tracker key, replace in tracker.ts script as well. Just so we don't forget that we need to do that if we ever change that value, because we can't import that in the script is the thing. We have to copy and paste it. So that's just a reminder for ourselves. Okay, so this is going to be add simple, let's do pseudo-auth key for public routes. Okay, commit that. And these things we're just going to stash temp. And just to make sure that we're not missing something, let's run this again. Refresh this. And wait for the 405. We got a 405. Okay. Then quit this. Let's revert this commit and edit. Actually, that's fine. Just revert it. Okay. And let's see if we still have the same problem. Oh, I need to restart the stuff again. Kind of trying to figure out whether we just introduced this with what changes we just made or not. It's looking like not, actually. So what did change it? Let's revert this commit as well. Run it again. Refresh. Refresh, I say. What's it complaining about? this business. It's going to do it again, isn't it? Did it again. And there is no response, right? 405, method not allowed. I'm not crazy, right? This is working on Friday. Let's revert this one too. I mean, God knows why this would matter. Let's revert that, and then let's revert the create data script one as well. Just get it back to the state that it was on Friday. And if you're wondering why I'm doing these reverts this way, it's because it's easier, for me anyway, it's easier for me to undo that. You could also check out a detached commit, I guess maybe would be a better way to do it, a detached head, but whatever. Whatever. I don't want to change the head of the branch because then it's hard to recover the commits that you had originally done without creating a new branch to point to those. Anyway, so still getting that 405. So it's not something that we are doing. So now you can just kind of like undo these. And unstage. Undo. Unstage. Undo. Unstage. Undo. Unstage. And then just take all of these and revert all of the changes. Right? Bit confusing, but the idea is that now we're, oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. I did not mean to undo that. Redo. Now we're on the commit that we meant to be on. So not really sure what's up with that 405 issue then, though. I mean, would it have been this? No, maybe. Maybe. This is localhost 3000. This is localhost 8000. Okay. Why is that? Okay. Okay. So this is the commit that caused the issue. Is way back when we fixed this at the end of Friday. We fixed it and we broke it when we fixed it. So the problem, in case you didn't see, is the tracker.js is served from localhost 3000. This is supposed to be the analytics service, but it's hitting the record route at localhost 8000, which would be the equivalent of the application that you're trying to monitor. This should be a 3000, basically. That should be 3000. So the problem is the window.origin is using this origin instead of the origin of the script itself, or something like that. Yeah, so let's see what we've got here in location. Is there something? So I mean, I guess Hmm. Mm-hmm. I wonder document.currentscript.source. Or import.meta.url, but I'm not doing that. Or you could do this. Oh my God. Let's not do that for now. My, you know, send beacon thing or whatever probably doesn't even work for uh, Internet Explorer anyway. Let's just see what this has to say for itself here. You never can really tell with these AI things, but maybe it. Oh, okay. So that's the actual script tag. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And then that gives you that. Okay, so const source URL equals this. And I don't know why that, I mean, it just doesn't know. It doesn't know that current script is a script tag. It says it could be any type of tag, but it's not any type of tag. It's a script tag. So this should be a string. And then I might have to do it like this. Now what are you complaining about? Sometimes TypeScript, I tell you. It's great when the types are perfect. But as soon as they're not perfect, it can be kind of annoying. Can I do like HTML script tag? Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, so now it actually knows that's like a thing. Okay. And then this would be new URL, source URL dot origin. And really, we maybe don't need to do that because of the way we're constructing these other URLs, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then let's just do console.log base URL. Okay. So now the base URL is localhost 3000, which is correct. And it's actually loading the things correctly, which is great to see. And we should have data over here now. Yes. Excellent. Problem solved. So now just to test this out, let's do this and see if it works in the sense of throwing a 404 if those are invalid. We should be getting a 404 on those now. Yeah, so there's a 404 on record. If I switch off, switch back, 404 on finish. Great. And there shouldn't be another data point for that. There's not. Okay, let's undo those changes. And then we could call this fix base URL detection in tracker script. Okay. How does that work, by the way? How does this work? I just like instinctually wrote some TypeScript in here, but that's being executed by the browser, right? No. Do I forget? Am I forgetting something here? Yes, I am forgetting something here. Let's look at the server. So this is serving tracker, bun.file tracker as string. What is tracker? It's dist tracker.js, you see. It's not source tracker.ts. And what that means is this value we could actually maybe import. Maybe. Maybe. Let's just try it. Default tracker key. Let's just try it for one of them for now and just see what happens. So now if we go dist tracker.js, see the problem with that is it actually imported this other stuff. So we don't want to do that, actually. No. We don't want to import that whole module, right? So now, if with that undone, if we look at the tracker.js, it's just like this, which looks right to me. Okay. Oh yeah, that doesn't need to be a thing either. Okay, seems good. I'm gonna call it here. Let's update our notes if there's anything to update. Oh yeah, I forgot we stashed that. Let's unstash. Pop latest stash. I don't really want to commit these. I don't know why they were committed. Doesn't really matter. Added key for public routes. And that's it, really. Cool. Okay, let's push. And with that, I'm done for the night. Have a good one, y'all. See ya.